A discount double check in the NFL draft might be costing a Jets youngster his gig, or at the very least, he's shoved to the back of the line. We'll explain here on Boy Green Daily.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show. Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Hey, what's poppin', everybody? Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcasts, baby. And before we get this party started, I want to give you guys a little hookup. I've partnered with our friends over at Homage. They've hooked me up with a bunch of these Jets shirts. And for anyone else who's a big Jets fan, why else would you be watching this channel? Or number two, a draft fan, I've got it in the YouTube description down below. You can wear the same shirt I'm wearing, baby. Look at this. Look at this. NFL draft. The pick is in. Very nice. So feel free to dive down into the YouTube description and get it. NFL draft. The pick is in. Jets and draft go together like salt and pepper, baby. So make sure you support. Go ahead. Go grab a t-shirt, baby, from our friends over at Homage. The link's in the description. Feel free to check it out. Anywho, speaking of the draft, let's get into it here. The New York Jets did a double dip with Braelon Allen out of Wisconsin, which, by the way, I love that pick. I think he's a perfect complement to Breece. He brings a little bit of that, that heaviness. And to be honest, if you guys remember this, and a lot of people gave Robert Saleh a lot of crap for this, he called out Breece Hall and said he wanted to see a little bit more from his running back. And it happened back in November. And he said, here's the quote on Robert Saleh going after Breece Hall here. He said the missing piece to Breece Hall's game, basically, is the grimy yards, of really getting him to be a more physical back and getting those short yarded situations. Now, it's kind of weird to call it the getting the grimy yards. That was kind of weird from Robert Saleh, but he brings that other side of it, which I find really interesting. Short yardage, goal line, those kind of things that you can kind of splash in there that makes the whole thing go. So yin to yang, it's not going to be any kind of 50-50 split or anything of that nature, obviously. It's not going to be like that, but it does bring another element to this team. So they get Braelon Allen. Okay, makes sense. And then the Jets double dipped and went for Isaiah Davis, the kid out of South Dakota State. And I'm going to be honest, I was just puzzled. I was, that's the way Connor Hughes described it. He called it a puzzling decision. Zach Rosenblatt called it confusing. It was very strange. Now, I will leave the door open immediately from the beginning of this conversation that we had a few people call in yesterday and talk about it, that perhaps the new kickoff rules and the fact that there's going to be a ton more snaps because there was whatever the numbers are. I saw them. They're pretty stark. So many balls went through the back of the end zone or were touchbacks, especially with the new rule that you could even call a fair catch outside of the end zone. In college rules, it's still a touchback. So a lot of plays were wiped from the board. So now a lot of new plays are going to be included into this pile. So you need players, but did you need to draft them in the fifth round if that was the case? So I still push back on the special teams element and throwing another guy back there from that perspective. You could have easily added that guy after the draft, but it seems like Israel Abanikanda's days may be numbered, according to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, who said that. He said his days might be numbered now that he's being kind of shoved down the depth chart here, because I'm going to be honest, I don't see the Jets cutting a fifth-round pick in the same year in which they were drafted. Joe Douglas's history certainly indicates that he does not prefer to do that. The only time we've seen it was the Ja'Kai Polite pick, and he was a third rounder, but there were some extenuating circumstances that led to that departure. which we all know. So that's the only thing is I think 1,000% Braelon Allen's making the roster. I think 1,000% Isaiah Davis is making the roster. And Brees is making the roster. That's already 3. Where does Izzy fit into the puzzle? Is he RB4? And if he is, I ask you this. If Izzy couldn't get on the field last year with the decaying Dalvin Cook, with Breece Hall and the rest of the room, Michael Carter for a piece, if he couldn't get in on the field last year, how's he getting on the field this year? And here's another thing. It's also in the story. In December, Nathaniel Hackett, say what you want about Nathaniel Hackett. In December, Nathaniel Hackett told the media that Izzy has, quote-unquote, a long way to go from pass protection. For a 4th running back to get on the field for the New York Jets, he has to be able to pass protect. And if he can't, so I don't know if he's magically gotten better at pass protection over the last 5 months, but if he can't, that means every time he's on the field, you're like, I don't know, they're running the ball here because he's not pass protecting or it's some, decoy screen action. So that limits what you can do with Izzy. And again, I'll be honest, I was excited about Izzy last year. Izzy to the hizzy. It was all a lot of fun. But he had 22 carries for 70 yards last year. Only appeared in 6 games. And again, I reiterate, if he could barely get on the field last year, I don't know what's going to change this year, adding new talent to the team. So he may make the roster, which is fine. But in terms of where he fits into the puzzle, I'm lacking finding that spot. So again, he can make the team. He could be RB4, possibly. But beyond that, that's going to be tough because if you start going through the picks, so Breece is awesome, whatever. Braelon Allen, a nasty pass protector, and he had that Aaron Rodgers tweet of, hey, I'll make sure he plays another 10 years, another decade in the league with his ability in pass protection. So he's getting on the field. And Isaiah Davis is a physical back too. He's got some juice. Let me see. The only thing I want to double check is what was the Izzy NFL weight. Let me just do one quick check to see what he was listed at on the old roster for the New York Jets. Let's see. Izzy's listed at 215. So there you go. So that's kind of similar size to Isaiah from that standpoint. Isaiah's a little heavier. We'll see what he measures in that. We got rookie minicamp coming up later this week. So we'll see some of the bells and whistles. All of those should be checked off later in the week. I think that's Friday, Saturday coming up. So I'll be honest. So honestly, what Izzy should take this as, because we had a lot of Jet fans this offseason kind of say, oh, he's the unquestioned RB2. He's going to be fine. Obviously, the Jets don't think so. Actions speak louder than words. The Jets say they still love Izzy. If you still love them, you wouldn't have drafted 2 running backs. So this is a challenge to Izzy, and hopefully he takes it that way. And he doesn't get in his feelings about it that, hey, here's a challenge, man. New competition's been added to the room. It's either step up or step out. Plain and simple. He does have a lot of talent. Every time he didn't get the ball a lot last year, again, 22 times, but every time he touched the ball, there was bursts of energy and explosiveness and speed. And that's compelling. That's interesting, especially when if in theory, you put him on a team with Aaron Rodgers, who you're going to have to respect the pass. That should back and make those boxes even lighter, which should be more advantageous to Izzy. So I'm looking up. So hopefully he steps up. Hopefully there is this leap coming. We'll see. But I will say this is a first world problem here, and here's why. The fact that we're doing a video on whatever today is, Tuesday, about the confusing Jets draft pick being a 5th rounder extra running back. Not too shabby. We could be complaining about a lot worse things on other teams. So not too shabby that this ends up being a topic immediately after draft week. So to be honest, you look at the draft class, you look at the team that's been put together, and there's a lot to love. A lot to love. There was just some whipped cream here, a little cherry here. That's all that was going on this Sunday. That's what the draft was. Some insurance, some premium insurance, which, by the way, they got at several key positions. Malachi Corley is probably going to be the one outside of injury that gets the most PT. The way they drafted him, it seems like they have a plan. Seems like they have a plan to use him, so I'm excited. But yeah, so I think it will be an interesting mix to see what they do with all the running backs. But to be honest, not all 4 of them are getting on the field consistently. Breece is going to have the biggest slice of the pie. Braelon Allen's going to get on the field because of his pass protection and short yardage situations. He might immediately plug in as the short yardage goal line back and pass protection guy. So that puts him probably as RB2. And then it's a battle between Isaiah Davis and Izzy in a fist fight to see ultimately who breaks through there. So I'll be kind of curious to see how it plays out. But a good challenge to Izzy to see what he's capable of. Hey, Izzy was a 5th-round pick, so like it's not like he was a 1st-round pick or something. So nothing is promised. Tomorrow is never promised. So we'll see what how he handles that. We'll see how he handles that. All right, let me go through some comments. Alex just jumps in on Heavy on Jets, which, by the way, is one of the places we're streaming. Thank you to Heavy for supporting the show, and youtube.com/boygreen25 and Twitter as well. Alex says, our 2 running backs just drafted are different styles than Izzy. If Brees gets hurt, now what? Well, Izzy ain't getting plugged in as RB1, that's for sure. I love the fact that they're different styles. That's good. If I could have a perfect complement, baby, it's a little variety in the diet. I have absolutely no problem with the differing styles, but if Brees goes out, then I still think there's a shifting of philosophy in general to a more physical downhill running football team, and that would lean towards Braelon. And then Izzy could be this splash outside of that. But yeah, if Brees gets hurt, it's the Braelon Allen show as far as I'm concerned. I do believe it's the Braelon Allen show. Big Daddy here. Thank you for that text just coming in. Big Daddy says, Izzy was terrible in pass blocking. Both of the newly drafted running backs are good to great in pass protection. We now have 2 Thunder, 2 Lightning backs, 100%. Yeah, Izzy was getting called out by the coaching staff for his lack of ability in pass protection. And that's hard to get on the field, man. It's hard to get on the field when you can't pass protect. Very hard to get on the field. Now, in theory, we have what you say, right? We have the splash change of pace. Excuse me. The only problem is, though, is that anytime, if Izzy continues to be poor at pass blocking, anytime he's on the field, you know it's happening, which is dangerous. Now, the Jets deserve a lot of credit because they've built this offensive line. They've rebuilt it. Joe Douglas deserves a lot of credit. You get Tyron Smith, Hall of Famer. John Simpson, solid guy. If he's your worst guy, you're doing pretty well. Center, Joe Tippmann. Right guard, AVT. And then you go to right tackle, Morgan Moses. That starting 5 is great. Plus, you have Olu Fashanu, who's the 6-man swing tackle for the New York Jets. And in addition to that, the extra layer of security is tight ends that we don't talk about. You being able to chip or be in max protect calls, or the running back. So there's multiple layers of protection for Aaron Rodgers, which I love, to be honest with you. Ron asks on Twitter, do you like the quarterback pick? I love the quarterback pick. Going to be honest. Jordan Travis is a good kid. There's upside there. Talented. He's coming off the injury. He would have went much higher if he wasn't injured. So the Jets get to benefit, and they don't need him right away anyway. So to me, the injury is somewhat irrelevant from a Jets perspective because you have Aaron Rodgers. You have Tyrod Taylor. Now, they're going to add another quarterback to the room. I know they added a UDFA kid, more on him later, but they're going to probably add another arm to the room. How is Aaron Rodgers going to be thrown all over the barnyard here at the OTAs? I don't know. I would assume not. Tyrod's older too, so probably need another arm to kind of get him through the spring, and plus they'll need an arm for camp. So we'll see kind of how Jordan Travis progresses. The team seems to indicate he will be ready by training camp-ish time. Is that ready, like he's fully ready to go, or at around training camp time he now needs to get into football shape? So some questions to be said there. But yeah, Jordan Travis, love the kid. Good dart throw. Jackson Valente. We absolutely did. If you guys missed it, Ricky joined us on the show yesterday on the call-in line. So look at the second half of the show yesterday. We finally got Ricky's take, who's for those who don't join my show regularly, he's a diehard Jet fan and Florida State fan, and he had been rooting throughout the entire process for the Jets to land Jordan Travis. So he was dealing with some family stuff during the draft weekend during our shows, but we were able to finally get the reaction yesterday, and it was fun. It was cool. So you guys can check that out on the live stream. Boy Green Daily is live every single day at 7:30 in the morning. So like I said, it'll be in the second half of the show, the call-ins from the second half of the show. Feel free to check it out. Shadow Realm says, crazy how disposable RBs have become in the NFL. Again, you're speaking to it, Shadow, because me growing up, I grew up in the 90s, man. We're talking Emmitt Smith. We're talking, Walter Payton. We're talking Barry Sanders. Go through the list of guys of wonderful. And I was a former running back too, so I loved running back, and it just seemed to be the breadth of the offense. You get the ball all the time. And all of that. So, yeah, it's kind of sad, to be honest with you, what has happened. So hopefully there's an upswing. There's a turnaround. that happens. There was a little bit of that in free agency. A lot more guys got paid than normal. I think that was because of the lack of juice in this draft class. But from an overall perspective, like first round, second round guys, yeah, but it is really sad, Shadow Realm, about the running back situation. R&R says Rodgers is going to conduct a symphony with this group, LFG. I think so too. That's why I'm so excited about it, because the running backs, the wide receivers, the offense line, and the defense, baby. This yin and yang of that. We know the defense is awesome. So if the offense is just average, and hell, I think it's got a chance to be well beyond average. I think you're cooking with gas, baby. I think you're cooking with gas. So I'm pretty excited about it. Let's see. David Hall Jr. on YouTube. Braelon's going to be a menace. Offensive line is solid. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. Yeah, fingers crossed. That's a big thing. Hopefully we're due after everything. Jackson Valente on Twitter just coming in. Is signing a vet, safety still in play, Simmons or Diggs? We'll see. The money situation with the Jets is tight. So it's possible. It's going to be one of those Adrian Amos situations, which happened last summer. He was just so available whenever that was, late June, late July, and they added him to the puzzle. It might have been June-ish, because that was in regard to Chuck Clark getting hurt in OTA, so it had to be like June-ish for that. But yeah, it's possible. Does Justin Simmons keep hanging out there forever, and then he's like, you know what? Let's ring chase on the Jets and take like no money, or an incentive deal where you pay nothing this year, but if he reaches all the crazy incentives, he comes back. Yeah, it's possible. But boy, it would have to be, because they're just out of money. Now, they have a few things in their back pocket, a Quinnen restructure, because you know he's going to be here, so you can do whatever you want with his money. So there's still a few restructures they have in their back pocket they could utilize if they want to. Right now, I think they're comfortable with the group. But again, if things start dragging into the summer and there's Simmons or Diggs still out there, like, whoa. Like, because again, the safety market is very rich. Shout out to you, Stadium. They tweeted out like all the best available at each position. You could probably field an NFL roster with all the talent that's still out there. So pretty exciting stuff. But I think Tony Adams is going to be one starter. Chuck Clark is probably the penciled in other starter. There's going to be a lot of 3 safety looks, so they're going to be able to get on the field that way too. But you have to have like a backup plan for Clark because of the injury, for sure. But good question, Jackson. I am for real. Okay, let's see. There you go. 70s. Great. Franco Harris, John Riggins, Jet legend. O.J. Simpson, Terry Metcalf, Lawrence McCutcheon, Zonka, Mercury Morris. You went through a great era there in the 70s, Hep. You went through a great history. Great history. Matthias says, John, taking Olu is such a great move. True pass protection LT. Again, that was outside of Joe Alt, that was my favorite offensive lineman the Jets could have taken. The left tackle, the elite in pass protection. It checks off all those boxes, quite frankly. And the Jets get him third whack because Latham went 7, Alt goes 5, and then Jets get him at 11. Plus the mini trade back. Joe Douglas deserves a lot of credit for that. So yeah, I love the Olu pick. Again, I was team weapon. So I'm not like doing some sort of like, revisionist history. But at the beginning of the offseason, pre-Tyron Smith, I was like, oh boy, let's get Olu. And then things happened, and we filled those offensive line, and I was for receiver. We could, if we could get Rome. I didn't want Brian Thomas Jr. I didn't want any of those second, third receivers. I wanted Rome Odunze. Jets didn't have a chance at him. So next best thing, get an offensive lineman. So that's what I wanted. That's what happened. So I'm very satisfied with that. FPP, Jets should have taken another wide receiver and offensive line. That's, hey, you know what? There are like probably 3 or 4 criticisms you can have for the Jets draft. Well, I'm sure you can have more than that, but let's go through a couple. It's an extra running back on day 3. That seemed odd. The draft was incredibly deep at wide receiver and offensive line. It seems odd you only took one of each, especially since that is your greatest needs. So that seemed odd. That seemed weak. That's weird. That seems strange. So that's a fair criticism to have, FPP. I can't really say anything about it. I don't know why you wouldn't have taken another whack at that pinata. That could have been, instead of Isaiah Davis, could have been wide receiver, could have been offensive line. That certainly could have happened. Yeah, so it's a very fair criticism to have. There's no doubt about it. Very fair criticism to have. Phil says, re-sign Connor McGovern. Our offensive line should be tight. Then we need to address the defensive tackle room. Yeah, because I'm kind of curious what the plan is. Is Michael Clemens a permanent defensive tackle switch? Do you keep him floating? Because you got Likey Fotu, like him a lot. You got Solomon Thomas. He'll be in there. You got Javon Kinlaw, Quinnen. So you got a couple of guys. I mean, I would have. Well, you do have the UDFA kid out of Miami. He's a guy that's at defensive tackle that they're pretty high on. He should have been a draft guy. From what we're hearing, Dane had him as a 4th or 5th round pick or something, and the Jets got him in UDFA territory. We'll do a breakdown once all that's official. I keep seeing a few more things squeak in, but we'll do a UDFA episode at some point this week. Kind of give you guys all the juicy deets on all these kids coming in. So hang on tight to that, guys. Yeah, Malachi Corley, he's a freak. I do love him. Let's see. Ronald Perry says, what the hell do Jet fans know? They wanted Bowers at 10. I don't think there's anything wrong with Bowers. I don't think there was anything wrong with Bowers, to be honest. I was fine if that's what the direction the Jets went. But to be honest, the more rational, reasonable, responsible pick was offensive line. Brock Bowers would have been fun, but if Tyron or Morgan went down, it was the Carter Warren show or the Max Mitchell show, or I honestly think it would have been the David Bakhtiari show, but that's neither here nor there. Olu gives you your left tackle insurance for now and for the next decade. I like that math. And you're fine at tight end. You can survive with the tight end group you have. Is it spectacular? TBD. We'll see. I think Conklin's really good. I'm kind of in the middle on Ruckert. We'll see if he turns into anything. Zach Kuntz is kind of interesting. Kenny Abo is whatever, but, whatever. And I also think that Malachi Corley kind of fits the role of what Bowers would have done in terms of get the ball in his hands and let him run through people and break tackles. So I think that part of the equation is pretty interesting. But I don't blame Jet fans who wanted him. But on the other side, if they didn't get him, I didn't want the Jets to take another tight end in this class, and they didn't. Thank you, Joe Douglas, for listening. Jared B. asks, how much cap room do the Jets have now? I mean, we could double check it. I don't know if everything's through. Obviously, the draft class isn't through yet, so that still has to be affected. Once you start signing these guys, you have to be able to afford that. But let's see. According to Over the Cap, let's see. The Jets are at $5 million, it says, in effective cap space, which is, or $9 million in real cap space, according to Over the Cap. I don't know when's the last time this was updated, but it does say $9 million. So a little bit more than I think some people thought after the JFM trade, which is about, let me do the quick math on that. That is 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. They're 21st in the league in cap space with about $9 million in a shade. Shout out to OTC Over the Cap for that. So that's where they're at right now. So shout out for the JFM trade creating a little bit of juice. Which is solid for what you need. There's still a few front office businessy things you have to have signed away that are formalities. You have to have draft class signing. You have to have the practice squad pool. That's a tongue twister. You have to have the IR money. Yeah, there's a few things that Jets have to have just in case to break the glass emergency that you have to have as an NFL operating team, which again, you have to have the money for the injuries. You have to have the money for the practice squad, the money for the draft class, and a few of those things. So $9 million isn't like, ooh, we could go get somebody. But I think that could be it too. All right, let's keep going here. Is there anything coming off the cap June 1st? I do not believe so. I don't believe anything the Jets did was post June 1 cuts. I think they were all straight up. And for people who are wondering what that is, it's like the Tre'Davious White thing. The Bills cut him. They're holding onto his number, but on June 1st, they get all this cap relief. Now, what is all that cap relief for? I guess they could use it for their draft class or late free agent splurges, but it doesn't really help them in the beginning. Like a team like Buffalo, to make an example. I do not believe we have any June 1st things coming. 1 year prove it deal isn't coming. It could be. Again, does Bakhtiari want to be the 4th tackle? Now I'm stretching. I didn't know if he was just going to be a straight up swing tackle. Every year he's played in the NFL, he's been a starter. So to come to the Jets and be a 3rd or 4th tackle, ooh, Man, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to put on the recruiting shoes for Bakhtiari to come. But maybe that's possible, Snowball. Safety could come. Wide receiver could come. Could be another veteran defensive tackle. Again, part of the system. I want to be a part of this thing. Linebacker, maybe. Yeah, that's basically it. There's not a lot of room left on the roster. That'd probably be the one. Who else? T. Savage asked, what's the linebacker depth? Well, let's double check the old thing. But we have Zaire Barnes. He's in that room. I don't know how people necessarily feel about him. Let's check the roster and see if there's anyone slipping that we don't remember. Let me see here. What do we got? All right, so we got Zaire Barnes. We have Marcelino McCray Ball. That feels like one of those Key and Peele skits. Marcelino McCray Ball, college. But you have him. Jamie Sherwood, Chaz Surratt is your other one. So there's a couple of depth pieces, again, depending on how you feel about them. Let's see. Jared B. I still don't understand why the Jets didn't re-sign Jefferson. If you guys missed the story, Quentin Jefferson wanted to come back to the Jets. Here's what happens, okay? Quentin Jefferson, so the Browns offer Quentin Jefferson a one-year deal for $3.6 million. Quentin Jefferson and his people turn around and tell the Jets, hey, do you want to match this? If so, I'm coming to New York, baby. The Jets don't answer and respond in time, so he doesn't know how long this Browns deal is on the table. So he's like, sorry, Jets, I'm out. He jumps over to the Browns, and the Jets were slow to the punch on the fax paperwork. If they were faster to it, Quentin Jefferson would be a member of the Jets right now. Now, what would that have meant for the other defensive tackles? Would they still have Likey? Would they still have Javon? Would they still have all these things? I don't know. But Quentin Jefferson, $3.6 million, that's chump change. I thought for sure he was going to get a nice pay bump because of, and he had somewhere in that ballpark last year. It's a little bit of a bump, I think, over what he was paid last year, or very similar. And he had a breakout season, a career high in sacks. He wanted the Jets to match. The Jets didn't respond to the phone call. So he's like, sorry, guys, I got to look out for me. So, yeah, I'm surprised too. But the Jets were a little slow to the punch. I meant, is this the draft hat? Yes, this is the draft hat. There's like a couple of different versions. A lot of the draft kids were wearing the green one where it's green. I need to get that. That thing looks hot, super hot fire. I need to get that where it's the green and the white. This one is like, I'm probably colorblind, so I can't remember if this is like either the gray or black on my head. I think it's like the gray version. And then there's the JETS font on the top, but there's a shade of like an outline of green. Very nice touch. But there's also the green version with the white letters, which looks very crisp. Johnny actually has that. That looks very nice. Let me go through here. There was another question. I think it was from VR. Let me see if I can find it. Question with the chat. I know he's asking the chat, Johnny is, but do you drink tea or coffee in the morning? What kind? I drink neither. Tea tastes like piss, and I'm going to be honest. I came from down south. Disgusting. And I've never had coffee, so I can only speak on tea. Disgusting. Here it is. VR Diesel asks, who do you see as a surprise cut this year? So Izzy, if that would fit the bill, I'm going to go through the roster right now. We will see surprise cut. So Izzy could be on that list. That's possible. There's a chance for Michael Clemens. It depends on how this defensive line construct works. I love Michael a lot, so I hope not. Nick Bodden could be. They have all the Brutus Beefcake in the backfield. One of them could serve as the quasi fullback, or Jeremy Ruckert, which I've said a million times. Surprise cuts. Let's see. Who's a surprise cut? Offensive line, no. Quarterbacks, no. Running back, we already went with our guy. Nothing wrong with safety. The offensive line, no. No, I don't really. I guess one of the receivers you could see, maybe. I don't think they cut Lazard. Maybe there's the grenade bomb trade where they eat some of his money to move him. That's probably it. So, I will tell you this. It's harder to make this Jets roster now because it's so good. So we're going to get a surprise cut. But in terms of prognostication right now, looking at that sheet in front of me, that digital sheet, I struggle to find a really good one, like a juicy, like a CJ Uzama, whatever, because that player isn't on the Jets roster right now. But no, I'm not saying it won't happen, but looking through the names, I'm going to be just as surprised as some of you guys with who that ends up being. Let's keep going through your comments here. Let's see. Ruckert has upside, but yeah. I don't know if Jeremy Ruckert gets cut, but and because he's dirt cheap. So what is it to have him as tight end 3? But he hasn't shown me enough yet. Oh yeah, there's a good one, Jackson Valente. It could be either. It'd probably be Jason Brownlee, I would imagine. Although Malachi Corley's taking X's role, but I think X will still have the kickoff role stuff. Brownlee doesn't, so he's kind of got the one-handed catch. Yeah, he had the one-handed catch in training, but then we haven't seen anything. He might be a practice squad guy, so he might stick around. I don't know if anyone's picking that fruit off the tree, but that could be possible. But yeah, there's been like John Sauer says, there's been a lot of talk about Jeremy Ruckert's upside, a random one-handed catch every once in a while, but it's like, we need to see a level of consistency. Which we haven't seen from Rucker. We've just heard about this mysterious potential. That's the P word everyone talks about coming out of the draft. Patricia says, Boy Green, you got to at least give coffee a shot. If you don't like it, oh well. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to live life. I'm just not I guess the one I should try, is iced coffee. So I don't like hot drinks. I'm not really like, let me warm myself up with a hot drink. I'm not that kind of person for whatever reason, but I guess maybe I could give iced coffee a whirl at some point in the future. John Sauer, no coffee, sacrilegious. Also, that seems like an expensive hobby. There's all these Starbucks and everything out there. I've gotten the Frappa Copa Maca Waka Waka for my fiance before. And they're like, yeah, that'll be $30, sir. I'm like, what? That'll be a who now? $12, $16 for a drink? Like I get a soda pop, $1.50 maybe. Like, what the hell? How do you people afford coffee? There's all these expensive habits out there. Yeah, you get a Quazo foam, blee blah blue, and you get all this hoopla. I don't know, man. I do not know. Not about that life. So if the problem is if you people get me on the coffee, then I'm going to have a new expenditure on my sheet. So that'll be great. Boy Green, any news on the Ashton Davis interview? Yeah, I reached out to his camp. I'm waiting to hear back. I reached out. I'm going to be honest. I should have probably waited for the body to get warmer. But as soon as he signed, I sent him a message. Yo, congratulations. Let's get you on the show because let's do it. So I do have to. Yeah, I'll check it right now. Let me see. Let me see if I can get an update here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I sent it back on April 11th. Yeah, they haven't responded yet. So fingers crossed. Though I would love to have Ashton. He was supposed to come on the show before free agency, but they didn't want to mess it up with talking to teams and stuff. I said, okay, I understand. So yeah, that'd be awesome. I love Ashton. I've loved him since the draft days. There's so many questions I'd have for him. So let's make it happen. Mitch says you can buy a can that makes 40 pots for $10. Oh, all right. Try weed, Paulie. Oh, yeah. You guys have a lot of different habits. Phil says there's so many different kinds of coffee. You're bound to like one. Yeah, I guess so with that mentality. Let's see. VR Diesel says they made an error with Michael Clements, asking him to gain weight and kicking him inside. I guess they thought that was the only way you could stay on the team. I will just say the thing that really sucks. I go back to Henry Anderson. Do you guys remember that one? We traded why I remember these weird fun facts. Is there going to be some sort of trivia at a local bar where I can use any of this information? But a couple years ago, they traded a 7th round pick. It was 235th overall. Who would remember that? That's sick. I should be in a padded room. But they traded the 235th overall pick to the Indianapolis Colts for Henry Anderson. They drafted Zaire Franklin with that, and he just got $30 million this offseason. So shout out to Zaire for making it on the squad as a 7th-round pick, and now he's like a team captain and everything over there in Indianapolis. But Henry Anderson, he was switching. Yes, that's right, VRD. So Henry Anderson from the Colts, the Jets traded for him, but the problem was they kept they were shifting from either 3-4 to 4-3 or 4-3 to 3-4, and they said Henry gain 100 pounds, whatever the number was, I don't remember. And then he comes to the Jets, he's got to shift his body again. So they've been herky jerky around with some of these players, and VR, that's so difficult, man. That's so hard, especially for defensive linemen that have to shift their position. You need to gain weight because you need to do this. Oh, you need to lose weight. You need to be more agile, faster, this or that. It's a difficult thing, man. It's a very difficult thing. So that could be hard. Michael, eat a bunch of this. Okay, actually, we need you back over here at defensive end. So hopefully they just have a really good plan for him. I love Michael Clemens. I know a lot of people don't. He rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but I'm a huge Michael Clemens fan. He's my boy. And like I said, I got to meet him at the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in the locker room, and we got to hang out and talk. And yeah, he's an interesting cat. I'll tell you that. He is an interesting cat. Aaron Daniel says on YouTube, Boy Green, I drink a ton of coffee, but never did until I met my wife 10 years ago. I'd recommend not starting if you haven't. I have not. I never have. So that is funny. That is funny. Wow, a lot of people think Jeremy Rucker might get cut. Interesting. All right, but I'll keep an eye out for that one. That would be surprising to me because he's just dirt cheap. And he seems like a good locker room guy from everything I hear. So they'd be really going out of their way to dump him off the team. It's not like they have 3 Brock Bowers on the team. Oh boy, where do we fit Rucker? Rucker could fit on the roster. That would be kind of surprising to me. That'd be kind of surprising. All right, I will open up the phone lines. I will throw that in there to wrap up the show. There we go. Let's go on over. Let's put this up. If you're watching on either Heavy on Jets on the Facebook page, or if you're watching on Twitter, you have to jump over to the YouTube channel so you have the opportunity to call into the show. But let me put this on here. Video call-in link. That was just put in on YouTube. I will now pin that to the top. Also, by the way, guys, another shout out because we have over 600 people in the room. Again, I will show you this. It's on YouTube. The NFL Draft, the Pick is in Jet shirt. I'm wearing it right now. I've partnered up with Homage in the YouTube description down below. You guys can pick up the same shirt I got. Rock Jets and Draft all year long with our friends over at Homage. Or if you guys really like the Jets starter jacket they just came out with, that's also on my YouTube community channel. It's also on all my other social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. You guys can get your hands on one of those too, which is pretty sweet. I've been tempted. I've been hovering over the link going, maybe. I don't know. So I've had that out there as well. So, yeah, Jets draft shirt, baby. So you're going to see a couple of shirts that I'm wearing the next couple of days, some cool Homage Jet shirts, and I will be rocking those, and you guys can rock them with me. Like I said, the direct link to purchase in the YouTube description down below. Charles jumps in on Facebook. Conklin, a free agent next year. So break down the title room. Kuntz is a free agent next year. Zach Kuntz. Not Jeremy Ruckert. So it's Zach Kuntz, it's Kenny Yeboah, it's Tyler Conklin, and then Jeremy Ruckert after this year will only have 1 year left on his rookie deal. The time flies, man. All the outside of the first round, you get a 4-year standard contract with no options, and then it's over. It just goes so quick. Snowball says that starter jacket is fire. It absolutely is. So in case you guys missed it, make sure you guys check it out. It's like I said on the YouTube community channel. It looks so good. I just keep struggling with it because I'm like, oh, I want it. So you guys can check that out. Feel free. Phil asked real quick before we get to the call-in line, Paul, is there any free agent wide receivers out there worth anything? Maybe a team cuts a decent wide receiver to save money. Yeah, I would imagine those cuts are coming in months, though. I don't think they're coming now, unless the team's really up against it. So that's the one to wait for, unless you just like Tyler Boyd or OBJ. We'll see. I don't know if that's someone they want. Again, a move I could see is the grenade deal. They trade Allen Lazard, I'm making this up, to the Denver Broncos for a 7th round pick in 2045, and they eat half of the guaranteed money, and they'd buy a 7th round pick. That could happen. I could see that. And then they go immediately use whatever money was saved there to go sign a Tyler Boyd or OBJ. I could see that. All right, let's go to it. Our boy Johnny joining us here on the show. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, what up, boy Green? Hey,
Yeah.
real quick, dude,
Yeah.
you put that damn starter jacket yesterday for $1.45.
Mhm.
It. So I appreciate you putting that up, there, putting all that fire for me to go ahead and go get it, bro. I couldn't help it, dude. If you guys have not seen that starter jacket, go peep it out. It's dope. Before they sell out pretty quick because they had a whole bunch on that homage page as well. I was
Yeah.
trying to get that school green
Mhm.
Jets logo on it. Sold out, bro. Like the smallest, they only had a small left.
Yeah, here it is. I'm going to throw this up here on the screen. Here it is, everybody. For those curious, I mean that thing is beautiful, and it's a throwback. They just dropped these, but to your point, Johnny, these things sell like hotcakes. So if you don't get it, someone else is going to. So I highly recommend jumping in that. Like I said, it's on all my social media. You can find it quickly if you want to hop on. I got a direct link where you guys can snatch that from Homage. It looks sweet, but it is a hot ticket item. They warned me. They said, "Hey, you can send this out, but the jacket moves quick." Jared B says, "I can't find it." Yeah, just go to my YouTube community channel. That's on my YouTube channel, or on Twitter. Just go to my timeline and scroll. I found it just like that in seconds, and you'll see it. And there's a link there to buy. But man, these things are like hotcakes, so you may want to get them quick.
Hey, boy Green. So I wanted to ask you, what was your take on all the undrafted? Which are the people you think that'll make probably the roster? I read the kid from the U. VR put me on. He was a beast, but just wanted to get your take on that, man. What do you think of the UDFAs that we signed? Appreciate you, bro.
Of course. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Johnny, for joining us here on the show. I appreciate it. And by the way, guys, you should be able to find that jacket. I just saw it again. It's like I said, it's on my social media channel, so you guys should be able to find that pretty quickly. Shout out to Jets Media here. He has a nice little graphic here that has the bundle of UDFAs for the New York Jets. I'll throw that on the screen real quick. Here we are. These are all the UDFAs. It's a big ass list of guys. The guy that you guys should be paying attention to, I'll write a story about it. We'll talk about it later this week, is Leonard Taylor III. He's the Miami defensive tackle. He had a grade in the 3rd round. A lot of people expected him to get drafted in that 4th, 5th round range. He doesn't. He signs with the Jets. I've heard from a lot of people. They think he can make the roster. So we've had a lot of great stories over the years. Tony Adams, Bryce Huff, the 2 wide receiver kids, Xavier Gipson, Jason Brownlee. Like, we've had some good stories of guys that have made the roster as UDFAs, and there's a path. Leonard Taylor III, there's a path for that young man to make it. I'm kind of scanning through the others. I've heard a lot of good things about the Braden McGregor guy to Michigan on the national championship Michigan squad. The quarterback's interesting, but that's kind of a camp arm thing. But hey, you never know. Chris Streveler was supposed to be just a camp arm, and he made noise. So anything can happen. You also have Jet Johnson, New York Jets signing Jet Johnson. Why not? At linebacker, they don't seem to have great answers at linebacker again, but this is one of those things where maybe we don't know how the team feels about certain players like Zaire Barnes and players like that. We don't know how they feel about those guys. So we can only judge based on what we see. But he's kind of interesting. Shaheem Battle is another one to keep an eye out for at safety. Brady Latham, you get the kid, interior offensive lineman. Again, the Jets didn't hit certain areas during the draft, so you could flip over from that perspective. So, yeah, this is a big group. There's a couple of hog mollies in here, but the number one guy to keep an eye out for is Leonard Taylor III, the kid out of Miami, defensive tackle. The Jets didn't address that in the draft, and you could plug and play that action in there. But like I said, we'll have a full UDFA episode coming up later this week to give you guys some details on guys maybe you just don't know about. So we'll try to keep you guys abreast on all of that. Yeah, Rodgers has made Lazard's career, so inevitably he should be able to bounce back as well. Aaron Daniels asks, Boy Green, do you have a code for us to use on anything on Hamid? So, yes. So, again, in the YouTube description or for that Jet Starter Jacket, if you want that, as soon as you click that link, It'll pop up to the page where you see everything. And what should pop up is a 15% off discount code. Feel free to use that if you guys would like, whether it's on the starter jacket. I think it should be available for the starter jacket, but at minimum, it should be available for like the shirt I'm wearing and the other shirts that'll be popping up every day. So yes, if you click on the link, there should be a 15% code that pops up. Feel free to use that, and you can combine your 15% code plus that link to get some nice deals. So, Aaron, feel free to take advantage of it. And if you guys end up purchasing anything from there, just make sure you message me somewhere and say you did it, and then I can try to pop you up on social media too. So let me know. Yes, feel free to take advantage of this homage boy green relationship, baby. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah, no, I think Lazard will bounce back, by the way. I see a lot of questions about that. I think he will bounce back. And I think my big question is we'll have to have another insider on the show here either this week or next week. I'm curious about the DB questions, whether they're going to do it, whether they're going to be able to pull it off in terms of what's happening with DJ Reed, what's happening with Michael Carter II, what's happening to Brandon Eccles. I'd say Oliver also a free agent. What's going to happen there? And Johnny says he did it. So he found the jacket apparently and he bought it. So shout out to Johnny, baby, for doing that. Again, I'm going to have this partnership with Homage. You guys can check out a lot of the stuff out there. Feel free to check out a lot of the stuff. The Texans did put out their draft hats. Again, the horns on the side are pretty cool, but everything else seems a little weird. I don't get the H thing. H-Town down. I don't know. Anywho, different strokes, different folks. All right, let's go back to the call-in line. We've got our resident offensive coordinator, Edward, joining us this morning. What's up, Edward?
How you doing, Paul?
Excellent, man.
I'm just doing my job, driving the truck. Woohoo! Beautiful North Carolina.
Beautiful. Nice.
Anyway, why would they want to cut Ruckert? Don't get that.
Yeah, someone brought up a comment earlier, like, Boy Green, what are going to be surprise cuts? And I started going through some names, and then people in the chat were trying to guess, too, and they said Ruckert. I don't agree with Ruckert. That one would surprise me because he's dirt cheap. He's still got 2 years of cheap rookie control from his contract, and it's not like the Jets are overloaded at tight end. I like the tight end position. I think
they didn't draft a tight end.
I would have understood it. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we needed to. If you didn't go Bowers, I didn't want them to take one. So
they drafted two running backs.
Yeah, we did draft 2 running backs. So yeah, it would surprise me. It would be flabbergasting if they did it. So that would be a surprise cut that raises my eyebrows. That would just be strange. I wouldn't understand that one.
Well, the fact that they didn't even use Izzy last year and he's a speed burner, I mean, maybe he's not good unless he's wide open. But then again, as crappy of offensive coordinator that they have, they didn't utilize people in the proper spots.
Yeah, that's also another grave, concern from that perspective. So I'm hoping that Aaron Rodgers just acts almost as a quasi-offensive coordinator, which will mitigate some of the concerns I think a lot of us have with Hackett. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Well, I'm just glad they got this new offensive line coach because I think that zone blocking scheme that they were trying to pull was just too complicated and too crazy. And I just like a bull rush and just blast open holes. I'll use the old Washington Redskins version of the trap. Beautiful.
Yes. Physical. Just punch him in the mouth. Go back to a little bit of ground and pound. That's what I'm hoping. Not any of this zone scheme, this or that or the other. Let's just get back to Smashmouth football. I think that's where the Jets are best.
That's why they got these 2 big fullback type running backs.
Yeah. They're the good weight. They're good in pass protection. I mean, this is exactly the style. I think that screamed it out more than anything else this offseason. I love it.
I tell you, if I was a scientist, I would try to clone Larry Zonka.
Give me some Larry Zonka. I love him. Proud Syracuse alum, baby. So, yes, give me the Zonka.
Or Ironhead Hayward or Earl Campbell. Oh, my God. Those guys were amazing.
Yeah. Earl Campbell. Those thighs. Good Lord have mercy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those are the good old days.
Look at some videos. Like, if there's any younger Jet fans out there, have them look at some videos of Earl Campbell, like literally destroying linebackers and defensive backs.
Oh yeah, it's a fun watch. And then there's that one video where like the jersey explodes. I mean, he's just massive, man. He's just a massive.
Oh, it's
Massive
almost
man.
comical what he did to DBs. It was just,
Yeah. The Houston Oilers, baby. Good days, good days. Yeah. So younger fans, please check that out if you don't know who Earl Campbell is. That's phenomenal. Thanks to Edward for joining us here on the show, guys. Fun show. We're gonna have a lot of fun shows coming up. So again, to the 600 plus people in the room, it's in the YouTube description. Whether you're watching live or after the fact, get the Jets draft shirt from our friends over at Homage. You can click that direct link, and like I said, feel free to use it whenever you want. I think it's for your first time purchase. You get 15% off. Use it at your own discretion. Whether you want to hook up the starter jacket, that's in our YouTube community channel. Feel free to check that out there if you'd like, and get the Jet starter jacket if there's any left. It's a hot ticket item. They're selling like hotcakes, baby. Move and groove. Plus, we'll be debuting a new Jet shirt each day this week, and I'll be showing it off and having links in the YouTube description so you guys jump on that too. I got a couple of cool ones. So you guys will see what that looks like. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Maybe we got to, thank you to everyone yesterday. We got to 6,500 subscribers. Spectacular. And again, we're continuing we're going the yodele, you know, the price is right. Going up. We're keep going up, baby. So keep showing the support. We love it, everybody. Thank you to each and every one of you. Thanks to everyone in the Boy Green Super Fan Club, the YouTube membership to help support the show too. This show is kicking ass, baby, and it couldn't do it without each and every one of you. So thanks for the questions. Thanks for the calls, everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow morning for Boy Green Daily. We'll also be back later today for Boy Green Meets Woody. We're going to do a draft of the draft. How does that make any sense? You guys can find that out coming up at 3:00 live on the show. It looks like we got one more caller squeezing in, so we will do this. Let's go to a new guy on the program. Let's bring him in. Anthony in Harlem, baby. What's up, brother?
Hey, Paul. Good morning, buddy. Just heading home from work.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. And, I mean, I'm a huge Jet fan like yourself. I know we're two-time undefeated off-season champs, Paul.
That's right. I run that championship belt around often. I do.
I am thrilled with this offseason. I can't think of it going much better than it went.
Mhm.
You know, which kind of scares me as a Jet fan, but I just wanted to I just wanted to say, you know, the running back thing,
Yeah.
it was a little puzzling, grabbing two back-to-back, but I
Yeah.
think in the league you need to have multiple bodies because no running back in the league is going to play 17 games.
That's
And,
true.
you know, I think they're a little, like you said, they're a little unhappy with Izzy. I don't think he developed the way they wanted to. And to be quite honest with you, Paul, none of them can really pass protect. Like none of them.
No. Yeah.
Right?
Disaster, which just scares me for Rodgers because that's why it's más importante.
I think they're throwing them in the room and just saying, look, one of you is going to have to get the hard yards. One of you is going to have to pass protect. So competition is good for athletes, but I'm really excited as a Jet fan.
You should be, man. I think they have a chance to win the AFC East for the first time since 2002. Playoffs, Super Bowl. They have all of it in their grasp if they want it. It's just about seasoning. I don't know what more, to put it bluntly, I don't know what more they could have done this offseason at any position anywhere with what they've done, which is awesome. That's what you want in an offseason.
Well, you know, Joe Douglas bought the groceries. Now we know who it's up to, right? It's up to Sal and the coaches. Get it together.
Have to cook.
Your lips to God's ears, Paul.
And that's what I'm rooting for, baby. That's what I'm pounding the table for. So I can't wait. So now all we have to do is do the same rain dance in the yard of no injuries, and let's just avoid all that hoopla. Because if we avoid that, I think it's pre-written destiny, baby. We just got to walk the path.
Awesome. Thank you for taking my call, buddy.
Yeah, of course, there he is, Anthony Harlem, baby, making his debut on the show. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Hopefully not the last time he calls in. So appreciate it. Getting it in at the buzzer. Very nice. Guys, feel free to use that. We'll try to have that open every day that we can. Outside of the big guest days, I will try and attempt to do that. So feel free. That YouTube comment is normally we go about halfway through the show and then throw it up on YouTube. That is the pinned comment. I love this show by the people for the people. I'm a diehard Jets fan. I love talking to other diehard Jet fans. And I love you guys supporting the show. So thank you so much. All right, everybody. One more shout out. Again, friends over at Homage. That's in the YouTube description. And make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. I love wearing Jets crap that I love. I love representing and wearing stuff that I think is cool. I wouldn't just promote stuff that I don't think is cool. And I think the people over at Homage do an awesome job. So it's an awesome partnership to have. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Again, we'll be back live today at 3 o'clock with James Woody talking draft. We'll explain whatever the hell that means in a little bit. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys in a couple hours. Take care, and